What's up guys, welcome back. Welcome to the heydays of the 1980s indeed, as we're going over the Taito Milestone collection for Nintendo Switch, releasing in just a few short days over here in the West, following the February Japanese launch. A big shout out to Taito for sending over a review copy, as I was genuinely looking forward to this collection and seeing all the bits and bobs this package has in store. Having said that though, it is not often that I'm left with that mixed an impression as I have right now, especially coming from the stables of Taito. But as usual, I'm going to give it to you straight, so without further ado, let's dive in. I closely followed the build up towards the release of the Taito Milestone collection, as some of the included games were announced piece by piece. Something which resulted in a decent lineup of arcade titles, but with more than a few things to say about them. In sequential order of original release, we see Kicks, Space Seeker, Alpine Ski, Frontline, Wild Western, Jack and Pop, Elevator Action, The Fairyland Story, Halley's Comet, and finally the Ninja Warriors. 10 arcade titles from 1981 to 1987. In essence, a pretty good collection, definitely a nice spread in terms of genre, with something for everyone here. At the same time though, most of these titles have been released as standalone titles in the Arcade Archive series, over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. Buying this collection does make it more affordable on a case-by-case comparison, but double dipping would be something of an overreach here. Then there's the title of this collection, the Taito Milestones, which at the very least does imply some groundbreaking works, highlights in Taito's rich history. And as big a fan as I am of Taito, really, I am, this collection does miss out on more than a few of their games which would justify such a distinction. The problem though, is that most of those games are included in other collections previously released, like the Darius games, some of the best shmups ever made, released in the Darius Cosmic Arcade Collection, which I've reviewed some time ago. If you missed out on that one, be sure to check it out still. And what about the Space Invaders? Well, those games are part of the Space Invaders Invincible collection already, also be sure to check out my review of that one. And combing through the list, you'll find that there are some absolute gems missing from this collection. Taking a step back however, and accepting what is included in the package, does reveal some really good choices still. In particular, I'd like to point out the Ninja Warriors, a side-scrolling beat-em-up which does look amazingly well, especially considering its age. It is also the only game in this collection which spans across the entire width of the screen, as this one was originally released as a 3-screen arcade system. Only a handful of games were made thus, and the Ninja Warriors was made to fit the original Darius 3-screen arcade setup, which I highlighted in my Cosmic Collection review. It makes for one of those rare games you'll probably have missed out on, allowing you to experience it for the very first time. Another great game is Halley's Comet, a vertical space shooter featuring familiar features such as unlockable options and weapon upgrades, waves of enemies and boss battles. I've played dozens of games just like this, but truly, this game does stand out and is a great addition to any fans of the genre. And yes, you can play in Tate mode if you so choose to. Not every game can be a winner though, and I feel that Alpine Ski and Wild Western are the weakest of the bunch, but the majority of the games in this collection does offer great content. Especially the Fairyland Story and Elevator Action remain some of my favorites. And then there's Kicks, a unique puzzle game. It is one of the few games not released till date as a standalone title on the Nintendo Switch, And although I don't enjoy it quite as much, it is a pivotal game, as it is the forefather of one of my favorite PC games growing up, Volfight, also known as Ultimate Kicks. But it is here that the collection drops the ball. Nowhere is there any sort of mentioning of history or interesting facts. There are no artworks, behind the scenes interviews, or any such bonus content, which would be much appreciated in a package like this, especially considering the treatment of other Taito collections previously released on the Switch. It is extremely bare bones in its approach and doesn't offer much beyond the usual options you might be familiar with in standalone arcade archive titles, like the option of turning on some backgrounds, shifting between a modern look or projecting scan lines onto your screen, support for Tate display and stuff like that. As a result, I am left wanting. What has been put on display is nice, at least in terms of gameplay variety, but there is just too much overlap with what has been out on the Switch for years now, making it a hard bargain picking this up for those of you already invested. Looking at it from a different angle entirely, this Taito Milestone collection doesn't come close to the Taito Legends collections released in the past, at least in the number of games included. For those not already in the fold though, at $40, it isn't half bad and does offer some genuine 1980s arcade goodness. As nostalgic for the 1980s as I am, I'll be playing through this collection more than once, alone or with a friend. And those true collectors out there, I'd happily send over to Strictly Limited Games for a physical pickup. You can find the link in the description below. But what do you think? Are you keen on grabbing this bunch of games, or are you skipping on this one? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you have enjoyed today's review and can't wait for the next video. And I'll see you next time.